Rick, where are you going?
And Angie, it's up to you tonight. Are we live?
Rick, where are you going?
And Angie, it's up to you tonight. You need to mute the no, don't mute aux. You need to go over to the YouTube screen and mute the video on that. Mute the audio there. You got it? Good. Yeah, if you mute the aux, then we can't hear our guest tonight. That would be very awkward. We have a guest,
lip reading,
and we're going to ask him lots of questions, and Angie is going to pretend that she's lip reading properly. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. This is our first day one wrap here of Airgun Expo 22. We have a larger crew showing up. We've got Joe called a while ago, so that's going to be a fun time with him. We've got Tyler coming in from Airgun Pro Shop. We have Gio here with, now here's the question. I asked it already, but for all of those in the interweb land.
Hold on. What do you think? How did you think it was pronounced
Berra?
Before you asked it?
Berra.
I thought it was Barra, so let's go ahead.
All right, so we got Berra or Barra. All right, so the question is, you guys know him. He's here from Bentonville, Arkansas. How do we pronounce the name of the company? The Berra or Barra? Okay, so let's answer that question. Gio, what is it?
It is Barra Airguns.
You know for sure now, and I
beat you again.
I know. Well, that is the thing. Angie whips my tail all the time. The thing is now, because I think I said Berra all through the video, you get to go reshoot the video for him. I'll let you do it. Mrs. Smarty Pants. All right, so yes, we're here with Gio with Barra Airguns. Is that, I got that right? You might have to correct me a few times. And if you guys have been looking around, you've probably seen the new 400E, which is an electric. Basically, it's an AEG airsoft that's been converted to run steel BBs, right? I mean,
yeah, that's correct.
Okay, and we've got the 1100Z, which is a super affordable variation on a theme of a PCP that comes in a black synthetic or the veil camo, and I really think the veil camo makes the gun shoot better.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it is.
Absolutely.
It adds. It's like racing stripes on a car. It makes it. It's go faster stripes. The veil camo is more accuracy camo. I'm nearly certain that just makes it shoot better. So since we have you here, where did you guys come from? It's like all of a sudden, there you are. So, but I know you've had stuff on the shelves at big box and other things for some time now. So give us a little bit of the history, where your company came from, what your vision is, your roadmap, all that kind of stuff. These projects we're talking about, kind of fill us in on, where you guys are coming from.
Yeah, so in 2019, well, actually 2018, we took over the Black Ops Airsoft brand as well as the Bear River Airgun brand. And we launched our 1866 multi-pump rifle, and that was, our first actual product. And we just decided, to grow from there. So multi-pump is kind of where a lot of people start with the air guns, and we didn't want to just finish there. So we began to design new products, and some of those products, we came out with this year. You've seen, the 400E, we got the 1100Z, kind of filling in that spot in the PCPs. And then we also brought out the 1200G, which is a dual barrel multi-pump. So.
Okay, now that one I'm unfamiliar with. When did that come out?
Just this year, actually. It's been out for a little while, but it also is available in black and veil camo.
Okay.
Similar stock to the 1100Z.
Okay.
So it comes with a 177 and a 22 caliber barrel.
Okay. Okay. So it's a break barrel that has swappable barrels.
Right. That's correct.
Okay. When you said double barrel, I'm thinking. Hold on now. It's like over and under. Like
no, we didn't go down that road.
I'm with you now. Okay, so you can swap the barrel out, and so you buy one and both, kind of a deal. I got you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with you now. Okay. On the, say, like the 1100Z. Now, we were shooting that. I think you'll be pleased with the video because that gun is shockingly accurate at 50 yards for the money you're spending. That's now we do pay a premium for the veil camo, but does make it more accurate.
Yeah, and it's the one when you walk into your shop and you have all these guns, it's the one that kind of draws you to it.
Yeah, you want that
Right.
gun, sure. But that was shooting, I think, it's definitely under an inch.
Oh yeah.
Easily under an inch
Yep.
at 50 yards. And the price point on that's like $320. Is that right?
Right.
Do I have that right?
Yeah, I believe the veil camo is actually right at 300, and then the black version is 275. So
Really?
Wow.
Okay.
yeah,
Maybe it's MSRP and street. I'm thinking the difference
right.
between the two could be, but that is I mean, it's just a really solid shooting gun. I did a video when I was testing the equipment down there working on the trigger, and I noticed that you guys had done, as I said, it's a variation on a theme. Anybody that knows air guns is going to pick that gun up and know its pedigree. Okay.
Definitely.
It looks like you guys put a little of your own engineering into it. And one of the things I noticed straight away is that the adjustability of the trigger and the inclusion of we may have lost him. Oh, there you go. He's back.
Did I come back?
Yeah, you did.
All right.
The adjustability of the trigger and the inclusion of actually, I don't know do you guys have a particular name you have for that little flapper trigger blade extension?
Oh, the hinge trigger kind
Yeah,
of creates a fake or false first stage in it.
yeah. It gives the
Right.
impression of a two-stage trigger, but it
I
also,
liked your name better.
yeah, the impression,
No, the flapper.
the flapper, trigger flapper, available now. Buy one, get one free. That's another story for another day. The trigger flapper, to me, it also changed the geometry of the trigger a little bit too. So you're pulling
Yes.
at a different place. And I don't know, to me, because there's several guns I have that have that trigger system.
Right.
But this one, I was able to tune it in so that you had that faux first stage, but the second stage, you can adjust the over travel. So you're not pulling too far, and
Right.
you can maintain good sear engagement. And I did a video, sort of a how-to, that I'll probably edit and post because I think people will want to know how to do that. But the other side is that you have to be super careful because you can't over adjust.
Yes, you can.
Sear engagements. That's very dangerous. But even with sufficient sear engagement, the trigger felt really, really good. Probably one of the better triggers in a sub $500 air gun, with a little bit of adjustment, a little bit of time on the adjustment.
Right.
It was impressive. I think it's probably under 2 pounds easy
Yeah.
at this point. It is
Yeah.
butter.
They
and-
come set, I guess we could say, very, very safe from the
Yeah.
factory.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
there's still plenty of room, like you said, to keep a safe sear engagement. And you could really get a sweet trigger at the same time. So
Well, it makes a difference. It actually really does improve the shootability of the gun when you're not having to. That's one thing you don't have to fight. Okay. And so I have guns from $100 to $3,000. So I've got a gamut of things to shoot, everything from a Beeben QB Chief up to my Red Wolf. And, the Red Wolf is a electronic, non-mechanical micro
It
switch,
shoots
Two-
itself.
2 ounces, your mental telepathy to the gun, shoot now, it shoots. It's got a little embedded chip, it costs extra. But, but the reality is that a gun that has, even though it's affordable, one less challenge you add to the equation that the shooter has to overcome
right.
is only to that product's benefit. And I was very, very
Sure.
impressed.
Well, there's some triggers, I call it the grace period with triggers because you really have to get to know them. But when I came out here, Rick let me shoot that gun after he adjusted the trigger. Huge difference. Absolutely sweet trigger. That one would require a very, very little tiny, if any, grace period.
Yeah.
It's very
Right.
nice.
Yeah. Now out of the box, it's got all the nuances of an attorney that was
Yes.
looking to prevent liability claims. Is a 14 pound.
Exactly.
Good, we're good. 14-pound trigger. I think whoever helped you with that also worked with Gammo, because Same. And then there's the Marauder with it's affectionately named the lawyer spring.
Right.
And there's a reason for that, right? Because
Yes,
it
there
has to be
is.
safe. It has to be safe. But for those that know what they're doing, it was impressive to me. And a gun that is sub $300 price point to have something that nice worked really well. Also, the fact that other variations are all a cocking handle as far as a bolt, some sort of bolt system.
Right.
And every air gun, personal opinion, if it's got a rear bolt or a side bolt, come on, guys, put a cocking lever on it. I mean, it is just it makes it easier to shoot. You have less jams and double feeds. It's just a better system, better way to do it. And heck, look at that. There's a gun that's affordable, and they were able to put a stinking cocking, a side lever on the doggone thing. So I thought that was cool. The Weaver rail on the top, again, come on. I mean, a lot of the things that should just be standard, it seemed that you guys focused on those things.
Yeah, that was the goal behind developing that gun, is basically, it's not a top tier gun. But a lot of times you'll buy an affordable gun and then you'll spend just as much accessorizing it. And we wanted to make sure that we had the, solid platform. That way, if you're going to throw money into the gun, get a quality bipod, get a quality scope. Don't spend another $300, being able to add a suppressor and a trigger upgrade and all those sorts of things. So,
no, I think it's for a learning platform on a PCP. Let me tell you from my perspective, because I came from 15 plus years ago, sort of when I started, right? Because my daughter's 15, and I started before she was born. Had to get out of the house, find something to get out of the house about. Anyway, so I really didn't know the PCP world until like the Benjamin Discovery came along.
right.
So I spent a lot of time with brake barrels, and it was tinker heaven. You wanted to tinker, mess with, and all kinds of things. And then you get into the PCP world, and there's many things about your gun that's kind of a throwback to that sort of getting back to basics side of things. Because nowadays, and I fight this with my channel. I don't know if you get this too, Angie, but if it's not regulated, people don't want to buy it or shoot it. And there's actually plenty of room in a product to not have to be regulated.
Right.
So I actually don't, that doesn't bother me. You just learn where the shot curve is, where the power curve is, and you should stay in that curve, and you get plenty of shots, and it works just fine. So.
Yeah, the other way, you have to get to know your gun, and it takes time, and people shooting is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you should really want to take that time. Can I say something?
For sure.
Absolutely.
So what you said about not needing to mod it or put a suppressor on it and all that kind of stuff, I thought that was great, because that's the consumer. I mean, that's the company looking out for the consumer. You don't want us to have to go out there and spend a whole bunch of money to make the gun like we want it. You guys have already done it.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. There's a particular gun, which I'm not going to name names because they already don't like me.
Might as well go ahead.
No. I'm going to be kind. But I think some people that know me will know the company I'm talking about. But there's a particular brand where you get it, and it can be a very exceptionally good shooting gun, and it's a $700, $800, $900 gun. But to get it to shoot that exceptionally, you're putting in another $600, $700, $800 into the gun, and at that point, you're looking at maybe $1,600 into this gun that if you tried to sell it, it's still a $900 gun. You don't ever get that money back, right?
Right.
And at that point, you're like so deep into the investment, you sort of have to like it. So those people that they sort of have to like it. But when you have something that's $300 that's shooting sub 1 inch at 50 consistently,
and it's pretty,
and it has the veil camo. If you did a pink veil camo,
it's a good idea.
It would. I mean, it's easy to do. Little pigment in the, be all set.
For sure.
You'd have a great girl squirrel gun.
Yeah, it would be.
Squirrel gun.
That was good.
Yep. I mean, if I run down the list of things, we've spent a lot of time on 1100Z, but we'll talk about the 400 next. The stock doesn't feel cheap. It feels like a solid stock. The rail mount under the forearm, a lot of companies go with a cheaper plastic in that whole assembly, and it has too much slop. So you go to put a tripod or bipod on it, and it's not stable. So you need my phone? Okay. Here you go. My wife doesn't want to get on the camera. I don't understand. So there's that I noticed that right away, that when I would shoot off a bipod, it had had enough rigidity where it wasn't wobbly. Talked a lot about the trigger already. It does have an adjustable hammer spring, correct?
That is correct. Yes. Yeah.
So you do have some external adjustability. So you can walk the hammer spring as you can tune it if you're however you want to do. Again, I like the rail. Now, I can't remember, does it have a swivel stud in the back of the stock?
Not a swivel stud, but it does have an attachment point molded into the stock.
Okay, it's got okay, I got it. So you can sling it, I guess was my point.
You could definitely sling it between the Picatinny rail underneath it and then the sling mount at the back.
So really, and I do believe all your models come with a 1/2 threaded UNF, a 1/2 UNF threaded.
Yeah, on the 1100Z, that is 1/2 UNF.
Yeah, I'm talking about 1100Z. So whether it's the black or Veil or 1/7
that's correct.
You can put a moderator on it in your choosing.
But it's already really quiet.
It is. I mean, so okay, so we've talked about that, and again, 300-ish plus or minus, under 300 if you go with the less accurate because it's black. I'm kidding. It's not less accurate because it's black. The Veil camo just looks, to me, is worth the extra few bucks. It really does look good. But now you came out this year with the 400E, right?
Right.
So we're talking, all right, so it's your problem. I'm gonna let you describe it because I think I know, but I'm gonna let you describe how you guys came up with the idea, the materials it's made of, what was your concept, why you did it, kind of fill us in on why you came, because the quote last thing the industry needs is another AR, really. So let's pick the most popular, most saturated platform we could possibly pick. Let's build that. It's like we need it, like I'm sure somebody's going to come out with another 1911 this year. I'm certain of it. Like we need more of those. But okay, so you picked the most popular, the most saturated platform in the entire market to try and introduce something new. Tell me how that figured. I'd love to be a fly on the wall of that discussion. So fill me in on that one.
Yeah. So, a lot of the developments we talked about with the 1100Z, come from the fact that we like to shoot. I've been into air guns since I was a teenager. And so when it came to, bringing a full auto gun to the market, I've already shot the CO2s, and I know the problem with CO2, for somebody who lives where I do, you can't use it every month of the year, not outdoors anyways. So I knew there's definitely drawbacks.
I'm interrupting. Are you married?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I could just see. Okay, so using it indoors was not an option, was my point.
Oh, it's an option for me. I actually have an indoor range, but I know a lot of people don't.
I got you. I just wanted to, I get that. Go ahead.
Right. So, I was looking at a way that we could offer, that full auto experience, without a lot of the drawbacks of the CO2. CO2 cylinders, when you shoot as much as some of us do, they get pretty expensive. And so, the idea there was to bring kind of a new twist on, an existing technology. A lot of people are familiar with airsoft AEGs, but there's a reason why there were no steel AEGs out there, because it's not as simple as just slapping on, 177 caliber barrel. To get the speeds, to be competitive with CO2 guns, it took some work. It took some work to get to those speeds, as well as to make those speeds a reliable reality. So that was really the big, obstacle we had to overcome with the 400E was making it reliable and making it, reasonably fast compared to CO2 guns.
Well, everybody, be sure you're paying attention to the schedule because I believe that's going to be that may be our last live. Tomorrow we'll be shooting the 400E on the range. Tomorrow's supposed to be a beautiful day, very low wind, sunny. It's perfect day for getting out and shooting stuff, blowing stuff up. And if I ask a question, because we haven't vetted, it's not like I got a list of approved questions, nor did I send him a list of the questions I was going to ask, because I don't know what I'm going to ask till we're in the middle of it. But there's a build quality expectation, because it's not a I hate using the word cheap. Because it's all in the mind of the consumer of what's affordable, what isn't affordable. But it is,
Right.
if you look at the scope of air guns that are in that platform, it's on the higher end of things, correct?
Definitely. Yeah, I would definitely say it's in a premium price point when we're talking BB guns,
Yes.
as opposed to, pellet rifles. So.
Yeah. So what's the retail on and what comes with it? Because I know when you guys sent me mine, it had a couple mags, had a charger, had a battery, and had the gun. What if somebody buys that box at wherever they buy it? What do they get in the box?
So what comes in the box is the rifle. You do get one magazine and you do get a speed loader. But yeah, you do have to source the battery and charger and those sorts of accessories separately.
Additional
So,
thing. Right. But you
right,
guys
that's
offer
correct.
those. You have your own brand.
We do. Yeah, definitely. So we do, sell them, with batteries and chargers available on the site. We also have a battery alarm for people that, aren't like me and they don't want to get a multimeter out and check it, the old fashioned way. You could just plug that little alarm in there and it'll squeal at you if you try to run the battery too low. So it really takes a lot of the work out of battery management. Makes it a lot easier for people.
We've got it. My wife has a question. What's the question, Sue?
Okay.
Do you guys sell your products? Where can people buy them from?
Yeah, you can find them on our website at barraairguns.com. We also have our products available at different retailers as well. So
your preference would be that they come to your website and pick them up.
Definitely, certainly.
So guys, help them out. I'm just saying, as a person that's done retail and a person that's done manufacturing, they would rather sell direct if they could.
Definitely.
It's useful. All right. So I want to get to the build quality because a lot of the other guns, we'll talk CO2 for a minute. You have these grades of build quality and a lot of the stuff is all metal because that's not really that big of a differentiation. I'm trying to use, those are two big words. It's late. That's there's not a lot of differentiation these days there between like a plastic or metal because most things are all metal. But it felt to me that the product was at a higher build quality than you would typically get in a BB gun. Where were you guys building it? I mean, how did you guys come to that conclusion? What is in your mindset, besides the fact that you've got a lot of engineering to make the BB do what it does at that velocity reliably? What did you guys, how did that sort of process come to be where you sourced, we're going to build this at this tier. We're not going to try and be at this tier. So how did you guys get here?
So the way we looked at it, we're designing something that, there's been people who've talked about doing BB AEGs, just nobody wanted to pull the trigger on the idea. So, if we're going to bring that to the table, we might as well just put it all out there. And so we did end up going, with a higher build quality. These are manufactured in Taiwan. The forearms, the hand guards, all those things are CNC machined. Same with like the upper receiver and other parts. So the build quality is very similar to an actual AR-15 type platform gun. So
yeah, no, and I that's what I felt when I picked it up. I don't know what you thought of when you handled it? What did you think of it?
Yeah, it was nice. I really don't, I got decided in and I really had fun doing it. I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with it. I know you don't push the button on.
Oh, if you want to dump a mag really fast, there's a little lever on the top of the mag. Just pull that aside. They'll fly right up in the air.
Yeah, you find out very quickly what the
Yeah,
purpose
don't
of
do
that
that.
is.
It is super accurate and a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, we put a red dot on it. We're gonna have fun with it tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, I run a red dot on mine as well.
Do you guys see that being, well, let me ask you another question. Does it have to run steel BBs? And here's why I'm asking. Can it run like the Excite lead coated BBs, or are those too big or too heavy? Or have you tried those, or is it steel, limited to steel? Or
Yeah, I would strongly recommend sticking with steel and definitely use, quality steel BBs. The lead type BBs, even if they're like copper plated,
yeah, these would
the problem with them is they're relatively soft compared to steel.
Yep.
And you have a fairly hard steel nozzle that reciprocates. And that's, what pulls from the magazine to the actual, chamber where the BB's loaded. So my concern there with like lead type ammunition is it could get deformed and then you end up with jams.
Okay.
They do actually make 4.5 millimeter plastic ammunition. I've not personally tried it, but it should it should work through there.
The reason I'm thinking from a more of a I've got the cowboy action targets from Air Venturi, the little diamond targets. Now they do angle
Right.
outward, but the general consensus, you don't shoot steel at steel.
Yeah.
So the lead BBs are great because like we use them on the Colt single action RV type stuff, and they'll deform and drop. But
Right.
I wasn't sure if you guys had tested any of that, but it makes sense. And you also have a lot of pressure in the mag because as you're loading that mag with the speed loader, you're exerting a lot of force. I could see how they could get deformed. So
Right.
those
Yeah,
that
there's
like
definitely a
me-
long spring inside the magazine, so
for those
they're under a
like
lot
me
of
that-
tension.
yeah, that would want to try such thing, don't. Um, have you worked with the Air Venturi Dust Devils? Do those cycle?
Those I wouldn't recommend either. Again, for that nozzle that reciprocates, there's just too much potential for things to get broken and then to jam up the whole mechanism. So
All right, so
yeah, I would
quality
definitely
steel BBs
stick
only.
with quality steel BBs. Don't reuse the BBs, and you should be good to go.
Get a little magnet out in the yard. Don't do that.
Right.
BBs are fairly affordable, guys. You just go buy some fresh ones. No, that's cool.
Yeah,
I just
you're gonna shoot them pretty quick in that gun.
oh, you
You
burned
will.
through them in a hurry.
Mhm.
I've already burned through the whatever you sent me is gone. So
Yeah.
I mean, I personally, and I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but just for BB ammunition, guys, unsolicited. I know you guys have your own. I like either the Daisy, anything zinc coated. I don't like the Crossman copperheaded. The copperhead they can foul so quickly and get rusty so quickly that I'm pretty sure, given what you're talking about of the tight tolerances and actually that mechanism working right, you get any debris or stuff not working right, and you got a problem.
Yes.
So I like maybe like and I think the zinc coated BBs have always lasted the longest with the least amount of, I don't know, impurities getting on them. Because even the black diamond, sorry, Umarex and Hornady, I've even had those kind of get rusty over time.
I haven't, so
Yeah.
but you've been in this a whole lot longer.
No,
than
I
me.
mean, it may be like a 16-year-old bottle of BBs, but I doubt it. They haven't been around that long. But the zinc BBs I found to work the best. And I don't know if you had an opinion on that.
Yeah, that actually is our recommendation, is to either use the zinc or the black plated BBs. We found those to definitely be the best, not just for, like corrosion and things like that. But the other thing I've found with the copper plated BBs, they tend to be a little oversized, and every once in a while you'll get one that's grossly oversized. And
I'm gonna have
yeah,
fun one day.
I've
You have fun
broken
one day.
prototypes on those. So
Get yourself just go to Harbor Freight, get a set of micrometers, and sit down with a bucket of Crossman copperheads, and you go, you're going to have 15 different sizes of BBs in about 20 minutes. You're going to have, you talk about all over the map. Now, I haven't done that in a few years, and maybe it's not the way anymore. But
And
boy,
I won't pick on Crossman. It was actually a Barra copper plated BB that I had this experience with. So I'll just go ahead and put that out there.
yeah,
But
no, I'm
it's
with
been
you.
my experience too across the brands. The copper ones have usually disappointed me over the long haul.
I'd say absolutely stay away from it. I love the fact that you have something that you simply recharge it, and it uses a standard LiPo battery, right? I mean,
That's
something
correct.
like an RC battery or some sort of AEG battery. It's
Right.
not some unique to your gun. Has to be that particular thing. It's a specific. I would say watt hour, but that's not the right term. There's a particular milliamp something or other.
Yeah,
It's on
you've got the voltage rating.
thank you.
You know, we use 11.1
Okay.
volt battery pack, so that would be a 3-cell.
I think you guys were saying it was 1,000 rounds, 1,000 cycles, and then you charge it up, sort of.
Yeah, 1,000. You know, you can pretty reliably get. I've found in my own shooting, I usually get quite a bit more than that. But I figure, you know, as a battery gets older, 1,000 is what you can really count on over the long haul. So
That's a lot.
and of course, buying, you know, quality batteries, you know, you're going to determine how much fun you have by the quality of the battery that you put into it. So
What's the cyclic rate on the on that gun?
so it usually is between 550 and 600 rounds per minute. So it is a little bit slower than what you get in the CO2. But that being said, I find it's a lot easier to, you know, time my burst, and I can engage, you know, a lot more targets per magazine between, you know, the lower cycle and then of course holding 50 rounds.
Sure.
Definitely helps.
And the beauty of the whole point of doing this, going back to the beginning, was it's not temperature dependent like CO2 is.
Right.
Between cold weather, which is bad, or too hot weather, having lived in Havasu, that can also be bad.
Right.
Or if you dump a mag and then try and use that mag again, it doesn't always work. So
Right.
There's a very narrow operational zone for CO2 where you can get on either side of that pretty easily. And that can be whether from use or environmental conditions. And
Right.
what you're talking about here is not impacted by that.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can rip these off full auto through a chronograph, and you'll find that the velocity stays pretty consistent, usually within a 10 feet per second spread across that string. And you don't find that with the CO2 because of the pressure drop. You know, the gas cools, the pressure drops, so does your speed. So
Sure. Take a shot, let it rest. Take another shot.
Right.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, the whole point of buying something that it's from what I call it the more fun button. But if you've got a gun with the more fun button and then you can't use the button, then what's the point of having it? I think.
Right.
So no, I'm pretty excited that you guys brought this to market. I like it. I like the concept. The price does not offend me. Because I understand what you're trying to accomplish with it. Now, I wanted people to sort of understand that. The other thing that, and I don't know, I guess we'll find out longevity because it's sort of new, but CO2 seals tend to be a problem.
Right.
And when they wear out on your $200 or $300 CO2 gun, you're just SOL. Where I don't know how you guys work the mechanics on the inside, and I'm not an engineer, nor do I have any inclination of taking one of these apart because that's not my bag. But maybe Haji, that'd be something Haji would do. But you know, I just want something to pull it out and work. And I know that AEG guns, tens of hundreds of thousands of rounds run through those things, and they continue to work. And
definitely,
I'm guessing that sort of longevity is you buy once, cry once in a sense, but you're getting a much better product up front than you would otherwise. Am I getting that sort of correct?
Yeah, definitely. You know, as you've mentioned, you know, a lot of my CO2 guns have to be rebuilt. I've got pretty close to 500,000 rounds through my personal 400E. You know, so still
Do the
using.
math on how much CO2 that would be. Holy
Oh
moly.
my goodness, yeah, for sure. I've got a pair of batteries that I use to keep it powered. The batteries are still running strong, so I'm very excited at its prospects for longevity. It's still maintaining its speed, the reliability. I was kind of concerned, you know, with the magazines, you know, would they need to be replaced by this point? So far, that's not been the case. So,
Do you have, and this is a question, do you have in the works a professional speed loader that is maybe a little bit nicer than the factory speed loader that
yes.
that will encourage me to not want to send it through the wall at times because I can't get this thing to push down?
Yeah, for sure. I've actually
Talking
been
out loud.
working on that today, but yes, it is definitely in the works.
Cool.
That type of speed loader works fairly well with polished airsoft ammunition, but steel BBs are not quite as good. I do find the black plated BBs do tend to run a little bit better through
Okay.
the original speed loader. But yeah, that's definitely something I feel you on that.
Excellent.
I've loaded well over 500,000 rounds this year, and there have been times, especially
like that
early
big.
on,
Yeah.
early on, I wanted to toss that thing through the window. So
Good. Well, that's cool. That's good to know. I mean, it's certainly it's far more functional than us trying to load one little at a time.
Oh yeah. Oh my
yes,
So, and when it works, you get this really satisfying sense of when you get a good full plunge of 6 BBs at a time. You're like, oh, it's so satisfying. And then
it is.
like when you hit that perfect golf shot. I've never
For
done
sure.
a perfect golf shot.
It's
And
the
there's a technique, you know, it's one of those things you do get better over time, but at first it's definitely not
all you. It sounds
not
like
what we
it's all
wanted
you,
it to
Rick.
be.
All right. I got a competition. Who can load the mag the fastest? This will be a
There you go.
time speed run. We're gonna see who gets
That's
this
not
done.
even fair. I am naturally slow.
If my sister Megan was here, she'd be jumping all over that. She likes everything's a race with her. And if you don't know you're in a race, you know at the end because she'll go, "I won," and you're like, "What? What are we doing?" So anyway, hi Megs. But yeah, okay. So we've talked about the 1100Z. We got the 400. I know that every company has their skunk works, and you guys probably have stuff you can't talk about, or get you fired or whatever. But do you have anything that you could sort of kind of fill us in on what's your roadmap? What do you got coming? What do you got going forward? And also one other question. Did you guys pick up any of the old Gletcher guns? Any of the gosh, what's the name of there's a CO2 revolver, and maybe it wasn't you guys, but it was somebody else that had like a break action, break open revolver.
Yeah, we do. We've got the Schofield replicas.
Schofield, yes. Okay.
Those are CO2 powered.
Yes, they
so
are.
you do got to time your shots.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely, it's a fun gun. It's definitely one of our very popular products.
It's one of those sort of throwback historic legends. I can't use that word. Sorry, Umrex. It's one of those throwback old military kind of guns. I really like them. They're very cool. They're robust and heavy and have good build quality. Again, they're very on the high. They're worth the investment. There's something that you can have in your shelf. It looks good. You take it out and shoot it. It's fun to shoot.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
because it's a revolver, you're not going to blast 50 rounds through it before the CO2.
Yeah, and the Schofield single action, so that forces you to slow down and get the most out of your CO2 that you can.
Because I thought that was you guys as well.
Yes.
All right, so we've talked about that. What's coming up that you can share with us? Oh, we just lost it for a second. Let's wait until it gets back.
All right.
We have a question.
Do you have a spring pistol, Donald Willinger? Or
Okay,
Willinger?
one of our viewers is asking, do you have a spring pistol?
We do. They're like plastic 1911 shaped ones. But yeah, we do. We've got a spring type pistol.
Okay.
Shoots about 175 feet per second. It's definitely a fun, low cost type
Plinker.
of setup. But yeah, it's definitely a plinker, and they're fun. They're a challenge. You know, you have to cock it for each shot. But yeah, it's fun to throw one in a holster because you can do that quick draw tight drill. Of course, you have to cock it in between each one. So it's just testing, can you get it that first shot, make it count? That's what I use it for anyways. So
Trigger time's trigger time.
yeah,
Muscle memory,
definitely.
muscle memory. Sight picture, right? I
Mhm.
mean, all of
It's
these things,
invaluable practice for sure.
and something like that. I mean, especially if you're looking for combat type accuracy, or if you're pipe plate at 5 yards, then you've actually accomplished the goal pretty well. So
Right.
there's a sense of reality when it comes to products like that just give you trigger time, and that has a lot of value.
It
So,
really
Angie, you've
does.
been so quiet and very patient.
You do a pretty good job of talking.
I'm just
Rick.
I just because that's my job. But I mean, we're gonna let him answer my question now. But
Okay.
I want you to be thinking. All right.
Got it.
Well, we were smelling smoke earlier, and it might have been Angie thinking, but it turned out there was a bird in our chimney.
Oh
And-
no.
well, there's less now. I mean, there's a bird nest. We're assuming we have roasted chickadee or something. We'll figure that out tomorrow. But
Now I really know what was going on in your mind. Thanks, Rick.
I want you to be thinking of a question you can ask here. But what's your roadmap going forward? What do you guys see happening?
So yeah, what you saw us release this year is kind of a starting point. As you mentioned with the PCP, it's kind of a throwback in a lot of ways. But I feel it's a starting platform that we can build on, and so that is definitely in the works. With the 400, again, it's electric, it's innovative in that sense. But it's a BB gun. It shoots up to 400 feet per second. We think there's more potential with electricity and air guns. So there's definitely some development being done in that direction as well.
Well, once you've cracked that proverbial nut that you have the engine, you can put whatever shell you want on it, right?
Right.
Yeah, I
sure.
know. I'm yeah, sort of. And I mean, again, once you've sort of pioneered the solution, it opens up a lot of opportunities for
Yes,
you
it
guys
does.
personally, and also just from a business perspective. If you patented it, which I'm sure there's some of that involved in the works, then you
Definitely.
guys have the opportunity to help others create cool products and earn some off their sweat. I have a question, but I do want to give Angie a shot to ask if she has anything. We have
There's
another question, Sue?
Mhm.
Okay, we got a viewer question here.
Someone was looking for a competition, something to compete.
Like a 10-meter pistol or a rifle, or what are they asking about?
I'm not sure because they then said who makes a good PCP air pistol, and what about an electric pellet rifle?
Well, I think we've sort of, yeah, don't say anything. Because I would imagine that, again, cracking that nut on the getting the mechanics reliable to drive a heavier projectile at reasonable velocities, you begin to open up opportunities to drive even heavier things at reasonable velocities. So I would imagine that obviously there's some engineering that has to take place in some things, but I would be curious to see what you guys come up with over the next 12 months or so, or 2 years or whatever. Angie,
Right.
your question.
I really don't have a question. I just have it's really nice to get to meet you and interact like this. And I think if I was a consumer, to get to know the company and stuff, you're really personable. It seems like you are looking out for the consumer and you know the product firsthand because you enjoy shooting them yourself. You have fun. This is just kind of my experience with you right now. It would draw me to want to know more about your company, your products and everything, because you really seem like you're
connected,
You're not,
engaged.
you're not just out there to make as much money as you possibly can, though I'm sure that's nice. But you really want to produce something that is pleasing to the consumers. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
would agree. That's
thank
cool.
you.
I know we've emailed back and forth and stuff, but it is nice to put a face to the whole thing. And so
It
thank
really
you for
is.
coming up. I mean, I hope if you have any, do you have anything you want to talk about? Any questions you have for us or anything at all? We can throw the ball in your court for a minute. But if
1
not,
minute.
1 minute.
That's
no.
1 minute.
We'll throw the ball your way, and then and then we can go ahead and look to possibly wrap up our discussion tonight. We
It's
dropped.
like I lost my camera again.
That's okay. That's all right. As long as you're still
Here
there.
we
There you
go.
He's back, and he's back,
You can bring it back.
and we're back. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched your channel, for goodness, probably over a decade now. So yeah, it's awesome, to actually be on this side of the fence, so to speak. But yeah, it's been a real pleasure getting to meet you and everything.
Cool. Well, we're gonna go have some fun with all of your air guns. I'm looking forward to doing a lot more work with that 22. Here was my question I had, and you don't have to answer. Tell me you got a regulated version coming. Just kind of nod. There we go.
It's in the works.
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
I've already been shooting a regulated 1100Z, so it's in the works.
Yeah, I
We're
think
just we're wanting to make sure that the regulator is a solid option. Again, just kind of keeping with that idea of, we don't want you to have to be tearing down your rifle because, you've got creep issues and things like that with the regulator. So we want to make sure that gets nailed down as, a solid, reliable performer. So it is taking a little more time, but I think the time will be well spent.
Cool. Let me throw you a unsolicited, unasked for suggestion and observation on what most companies I see do that are in your space. And I don't think you guys are a company that are looking to do it. So I'd encourage you to stay on the path you are. When I first started shooting springers, they were metal springs. And there were good metal spring guns and there were trash metal spring guns.
Right.
The way companies made their trash metal spring guns shoot better, and they really didn't shoot better, but they seemed to shoot better, was they put a gas ram in them. So they would add a gas ram to overcome their poor engineering that really didn't improve the gun. It didn't improve the accuracy. It maybe made more power. It maybe didn't have a buzz or vibration, but it didn't really improve the gun. Okay. And I see a lot of companies just have mediocre engineering that throw a reg in their gun, and yeah, you have a regulated gun. If it doesn't have the good core engineering, you throw a regulator in it, it'll cover some of that up, but you're still left with subpar engineering. So
For sure.
I think that if you guys, you have a solid product already, which seems to have good engineering. It's based on a variation on a theme out there that's already in existence. It's proven itself pretty well. But if you guys focus on just getting that engineering really tight, and then you add a regulator, now you've got something that's going to compete with $700, $800, $900 air guns right out of the gate. At a price point that's going to be very competitive. So that would be my 2 cents of encouragement to you guys in a direction to continue to go, because I would imagine that is the way you're going, I hope.
Yes, yeah, that's the direction we're taking with this project. That's why it is taking longer than perhaps we would like, but at the same time, sometimes good things are worth the wait. So
yeah, and I had a conversation with a company, again, I won't say their name, different company, and they were a premier brand that brought out a extraordinarily budget air gun. To me, the two didn't work, right? Because you have this premium on the firearm side. Why would you go for bargain basement here? You dilute your brand. When this doesn't work, which is what happened, this doesn't work because you're trying to build it too cheap and sell it too cheap because you're thinking about volume and not quality. It hurts you. I think that people will spend a little bit more for something that's a little better than if you have a race to the bottom on price point just to deal with volume, because that path is limited.
Right.
You asked, there's a lot of major manufacturers that are really suffering because they're making $150 off a Walmart gun instead of $25 on a decent built gun.
Right.
And so and I know you guys you're in big box, so you know all about how that works.
For sure.
So yeah, I mean, I keep doing, keep building quality stuff, take your time, make sure it works right. And I think that the market will respond favorably to those choices. That's my 2 cents. And the guys that want to buy at the lowest possible price, they're probably not going to be your long-term customer anyway.
Right. I hear you. And you
Right.
learn over time. Sometimes the cheapest things cost you the most. So I've learned that personally. And some people have to learn the hard way, as I have, and then other
That was
people,
me. That was me. I'm one of those
you
guys.
wake up at some point in time and you realize, I should have just bought once and cried once.
Yeah,
So
no, I've done it. That was me for the first many years of my air gunning journey. Was, I'll save that $100 because I so desperately wanted an RWS 350, so I bought everything that was supposed to be like the 350 but cheaper.
right.
And I could have bought three 350s for the price I spent on all this crap it was never a 350. I don't care what it was. A 350, damn it, is a 350, and that isn't one. So
Right.
bleep me out and whatever. But so yeah, no, keep doing what you're doing. I'm excited to see what you guys got coming out with next. And I'm always here. Gateway to Airguns is always here. Grip Review Program's always here for you guys. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what you got coming out next. So
yeah, and I think a little pink camo would be great because there's a lot of new women shooters.
Yes,
that's
there
actually
is.
a legitimate thing. Take it up the chain because a pink veil camo variation would actually, I think, do really well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Do us freebie. We'll talk royalties later.
Sounds
You
good.
heard it here first. All right, guys. All right. That's going to be it for me. Angie, you got anything?
Nope.
Gio, you got anything else?
I don't think so.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me on.
It's been our pleasure. Thank you so much, guys, in YouTube land. Please check their website out. It's barraairguns.com, right? Barra. Barra Airguns, spelled B-A-R, airguns.com, and check them out. You can also check out some of the cool products we have listed on the Airgun Expo. And stay tuned this week because we're going to be shooting some of their stuff live. And we've got some pre-recorded stuff coming up soon as well. So check them out and stay tuned and go check out their website. We're going to see you guys later. Gio, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Bye-bye.